At this exact moment, a silent monument made of Earth's titanium, gold, and plutonium is drifting deep inside the crushing, multi-thousand-degree core of Saturn. It is not a shipwreck. It was a deliberate execution. On September 15, 2017, billions of people watched as NASA deliberately ordered its most successful robotic explorer, the Cassini spacecraft, to plunge into the violent atmosphere of the gas giant. This was not a failure of engineering, nor was it a mistake. It was a calculated, heart-wrenching sacrifice. For 13 years, this machine acted as humanity's lone eye in the outer solar system, rewriting our understanding of physics, chemistry, and the potential for alien life. It captured the jewel of our solar system in unprecedented detail, discovered world-altering oceans beneath frozen moons, and witnessed storms large enough to swallow Earth whole. Yet, its reward was annihilation. To understand why NASA had to destroy its own crowning achievement, we must travel back to a time when the outer solar system was nothing but a blurry, pixelated mystery. This is the complete, uninterrupted chronicle of the Cassini-Huygens mission. A 20-year odyssey of a machine that went to study a planet, found worlds capable of hosting life, and ultimately gave its own life to protect them from us. This is the story of how humanity reached across 2 billion miles of void to touch the ringed planet, and how that planet changed us forever. Conceived in the late 1980s as a joint venture between NASA, the European Space Agency, and the Italian Space Agency, Cassini was a behemoth. Weighing over 12,000 pounds and standing as tall as a 2-story building, it remains one of the largest and most complex interplanetary spacecraft ever built. Packed with 12 scientific instruments, a radar mapper, and carrying a hitchhiker called the Huygens probe, it required a massive Titan IV Centaur rocket to lift off from Cape Canaveral on October 15, 1997. But a direct flight to Saturn was physically impossible. The spacecraft was simply too heavy for any rocket to push directly to its destination. To overcome this cosmic speed limit, engineers utilized a high-stakes celestial dance known as gravitational slingshots. Cassini looped around Venus twice, zipped past Earth, and stole momentum from the giant planet Jupiter in 2000. Each flyby acted as an invisible cosmic accelerator, stealing a fraction of the planet's orbital energy to fling the probe deeper into the freezing dark. For 7 long years, Cassini cruised through the void, silently calibrating its instruments, enduring solar radiation, and hurtling toward a destination that humans had only ever seen through the blurry lenses of Earth-based telescopes and brief, historic flybys. On July 1st, 2004, the wait was over. Cassini fired its main engine for 96 minutes, slowing down just enough to be captured by Saturn's gravity, passing directly through a gap in the magnificent rings. What it revealed was a system of unimaginable chaos and beauty. The rings were not solid structures, but a dynamic, swirling highway of billions of ice particles, ranging from the size of dust grains to mountain-sized boulders. Cassini observed spokes, ghostly, dark features flickering across the rings, driven by Saturn's immense magnetic field, and witnessed tiny shepherd moons, like Daphnis, carving ripples and waves through the icy structures, like speedboats on a glassy lake. Turning its gaze to the planet itself, Cassini plunged scientists into a world of atmospheric extremes. At Saturn's North Pole, it discovered a feature so bizarre it baffled the scientific community: a permanent geometric weather system known as the Hexagon. A jet stream wide enough to fit 2 Earths inside, blowing at 300 miles per hour, locked in a perfect 6-sided shape. At its center lay a monstrous polar hurricane, glowing in deep infrared light. Cassini monitored the planet for over a decade, witnessing a gargantuan great white storm that erupts once every 30 Earth years, wrapping itself entirely around the planet's northern hemisphere in a violent display of planetary meteorology. But Saturn was only half the prize. On December 25, 2004, Cassini released its passenger, the European Huygens probe, aiming it directly at Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Titan was a world hidden in secrecy, shrouded by a thick, opaque orange nitrogen atmosphere that no human eye had ever penetrated. For 21 days, Huygens coasted alone before hitting the upper atmosphere. Deploying its parachutes, it began a tense 2.5-hour descent. As it broke through the orange haze, the cameras revealed something deeply familiar, yet profoundly alien. A landscape carved by flowing liquids, featuring riverbeds, coastlines, and vast, dark valleys. When Huygens touched down on the surface, it landed on a damp plain strewn with rounded blocks of water ice, frozen as hard as rock at minus 290 degrees Fahrenheit. It was the most distant landing ever achieved by humanity. Meanwhile, from orbit, Cassini's radar bypassed the clouds to map Titan's northern hemisphere, discovering massive, deep lakes and seas. But this wasn't water. Titan was a world where it literally rained liquid methane and ethane, filling seas like Kraken Mare, which is larger than the Caspian Sea on Earth. It was a bizarre, cryogenic mirror of early Earth, a prebiotic laboratory filled with organic molecules, completely rewriting our understanding of where fluid geology can exist in the universe. If Titan was an organic wonderland, a tiny moon named Enceladus would prove to be Cassini's ultimate paradigm shift. Only 300 miles wide, small enough to fit inside the state of Colorado, Enceladus was thought to be a dead, frozen ball of ice. But in 2005, Cassini's magnetometer detected a distortion in Saturn's magnetic field near the moon's south pole. Zooming in, Cassini captured one of the most stunning sights in space exploration history: massive plumes of icy material erupting hundreds of miles into space from deep fractures known as tiger stripes. Enceladus was alive, actively venting its interior into the vacuum of space, single-handedly creating Saturn's E-ring. Driven by intense curiosity, NASA engineers took a massive risk, diving Cassini just 15 miles above the surface, directly through the icy geysers. The onboard mass spectrometer tasted the spray. It found water ice, salt, simple organic molecules, and crucial evidence of molecular hydrogen. This was the smoking gun. It meant that beneath Enceladus's frozen crust lay a global, liquid water ocean, warmed by tidal forces and interacting with a rocky core through hydrothermal vents. Identical to the deep-sea vents on Earth, where life is believed to have originated. Suddenly, the search for life shifted from the warm zones of Mars to the freezing, dark outer solar system. By 2017, after 2 mission extensions and 13 years in orbit, Cassini was running out of propellant. Rocket fuel was critical. Without it, NASA would lose control of the spacecraft. This created an existential crisis for planetary protection. If left adrift, Cassini would eventually crash into either Titan or Enceladus. Because the probe carried a small nuclear power source that remained warm, a crash could rupture the tanks. Introducing Earth bacteria dormant on the ship into these pristine, habitable alien oceans, ruining our chance to ever find native alien life. To save the worlds it discovered, Cassini had to make the ultimate sacrifice. On April 22, 2017, Cassini began its grand finale. A series of 22 unprecedented dives through the completely unexplored 1,200-mile gap between Saturn and its rings. It gathered gravity maps, tasted the ring dust, and took final ultra-high-resolution photographs. Then came September 15th. Rocketing downward, Cassini entered Saturn's atmosphere. Its small thrusters fired frantically, fighting a losing battle against the thickening gas to keep its high-gain antenna aimed precisely at Earth. It streamed atmospheric data in real time until the very last microsecond, giving scientists a direct chemical analysis of Saturn's skies. At 7:55 a.m. Eastern Time, the signal flatlined. Traveling at hypervelocity, the friction tore off the solar panels, disintegrated the instruments, and melted the structure. Within minutes, Cassini was vaporized, its atomic remnants scattering to become a permanent, literal part of the planet it had spent a lifetime studying. Cassini didn't just observe Saturn, it became Saturn. It left behind a legacy of 450,000 images, thousands of scientific papers, and a profound realization that we live in a universe teeming with ocean worlds.
The Voyager from Earth is gone, but its echoes will ring out across the cosmos forever.
Thank you for watching. If you want to continue exploring the deep cosmos with us, hit subscribe and leave a comment below on which celestial journey we should take next.